Hey YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back. I'm super excited because today is one of my anniversaries of getting fired. I know it sounds terrible. People are like, why would that be or I guess you can understand why it would be an anniversary because it's been 1 year. But why am I happy? Why am I so happy talking about it? Is because in that time, I was literally hopeless. I had nothing else left. I literally thought that was it for my life. I thought, Moises, you're done for. You're 22 and you're going to be home or you're going to be with your mom forever, and that's really what it felt like, not knowing what was next, not knowing uh, that I was actually going to be okay at the end of the day. And I'll never forget when I got fired, people were telling me, Moises, it's good to fail. And the fact that you failed at 22 is really good because it's going to teach you something that some people at 35, 40, 45, 50 are going through. And you're only 22 experiencing this thing that they're experiencing at an older age, and you have more time. And even if you're 35, 40, you still have plenty of time. But they said you still have plenty of time, and at that time I was like, nope, there's nothing good about this. Okay, there's no good that I failed. Like, I just went through a breakup. There's no way they're gonna tell me losing 50,000 a year is like good for me. And come to find out, it actually skyrocketed me forward into where I am today, and being able to actually talk about my mistakes and being comfortable speaking with them or speaking about them, and really just being able to share what I went through. So today we celebrate 1 year anniversary from when I got fired. Just suck that up for a second. Just really enjoy this atmosphere, and it's just I can't believe I'm celebrating this because a year ago I was on my couch, literally just I went through like 12 Netflix series. It was so bad. I literally couldn't do anything because I was just like in a depression. I was just hopeless. I was sitting there and just ready to move back to Rochester, just counting down the days. And I'm so happy that those times are over. I really am. And it was so crazy because I got fired July 2nd of last year, and here we are on July 9th, and I'm 38 days away from going to Oklahoma, where I will be going attending ministry school, where I'll be attending seminary, and just be able to do what I've always wanted to do and become a pastor. And at first, I never thought I wanted to be a pastor. I always thought I wanted to pursue business. But now, here I am at my true calling. I'm as happy as I ever been. I'm glad that I get to spend time with God, just be able to spend time in God's word and be able to be in prayer and worship. And to me, I'm spiritually the best I've ever been, personally the best I've ever been, and just mentally the best I've ever been. This has been a time of my life where I've been growing for a straight year, and to come back from what I came or what I went through, to me this shows that no matter what your hopeless situation is, there is hope that you are going to change in the future, and that something good is going to come to the future, and use those hopeless moments to push you forward, basically, because that's what I did. And it wasn't really by my own doing. It was thanks to God and thanks to Jesus. That's kind of going through my salvation throughout this time. And it's so crazy that sometimes the worst things in your life can be a catalyst to the best things in your life. And salvation has been the best thing in my life. It took me away from just my habits, my addictions to pornography, my addictions to masturbation, sex, and all this stuff that I struggled with for 7 years because I just didn't know the truth about it. I didn't know about the soul ties. I didn't know that you can become addicted to pornography. I thought you only could get addicted to like alcohol and drugs. Like, those are the only two things I got taught. And people always said like don't have sex before marriage, but they never told me why. And to come to find out all that information, that's really what the reason why now I'm going through courtship and I'm waiting until marriage, because I believe that in marriage is a good time to actually have sex and to actually use God's creation of sex for good. You know, sex isn't bad. It just needs to be in the right container, which is marriage. So, but learning all this stuff just within the past year really just shot me forward into the best position I ever been in. But I'm here today to talk about the stories of what led me to coming back to, or like my time between getting fired and coming back to Rochester. I went through this weird uh, you could do everything alone stage. Oh my goodness. And let me tell you, it was so bad. It literally was a time where I broke up with my girlfriend, or she broke up with me, I'm not gonna lie. And it was heartbreaking, and I thought it doesn't matter because I could do anything I want alone. So the first thing I did was go to Six Flags by myself. Let me tell you, amusement parks are not made for one. There's a reason that there is two seats on a roller coaster, and I did not think that one fully through. Okay, it was just so bad. My first ride was with this family, or with this girl and her mom, and I had my seat open next to me. So it was just them two facing me and me facing them two. And they knew I was alone, obviously, at that point. And it got to a point where I just like even said hi to them because I was just like, it was just super awkward. I was trying to break the ice. And we went on that ride. It was cool and everything. And it's almost like I wanted them to take me with them because I was like, I'm alone, guys, like save me. But obviously that would be even weirder. So I didn't do that and didn't show that on my face. I just smiled and was like, oh, have a good day. But I kept seeing that family around the park all day, and it was just super awkward. Every time I looked at them, I knew that they knew I was alone. And I'm just happy that they didn't show up during my lunchtime where I was eating like chicken tenders and fries in the corner with a beer. Ah, it was such a, let me tell you, that was probably one of the worst experiences right there. And if I had to tell anybody one thing not to do alone, it would be go to an amusement park. I had my dipping dots on that little, like, I don't even know what you call it. You like sit on the thing and it like goes across the whole park and it kind of turns around and then you get off, and like it's made for two people, but or two or three people. And you go around the park and you look at from 20 feet in the air, whatever the case may be. And I was eating my dipping dots on that, just kind of people watching, and it must have looked so bad from anybody else's perspective at that time. But like I said, I was in a I could do anything independent mindset where I was like, this it doesn't matter. These are things that you could do alone, and it just wasn't healthy. I don't even know how else to put it. It just wasn't a healthy mindset. But there is some things I do believe that you can do alone that you shouldn't have to wait for other people. And for me, that was traveling. So I lived in Vermont, which was really close to Montreal. So I drove to Montreal. I think it was an hour and a half. But when I get over the border, Verizon sends me a text saying, "Do you want international data?" Of course, I hit yes, because like it's international data. I can't tell east from west, north from south. Like, it's not happening. Like, they're like, "Oh, that's the northern star." I'll look at it and be like, "That just looks like another star to me." I'm terrible at directions, so I need my GPS. So I type in yes. I get over the border, and I'm following my GPS, and my GPS takes me to the center of Montreal. And then that was it. At that point, I had no more GPS because my data didn't transfer over. I'm like, what is going on here? So I drove around for about an hour and 20 minutes, and I found a grocery store. I was like, thank you, God. There's a grocery store here. Like, they have to have Wi Fi. I walk in, no Wi Fi. But there was like this little light at the end of the tunnel where you're like, what is that? And you're just like, at this point, you're hoping for anything. I walk past the grocery store into the light, and it's a mall. I'm like, what kind of mall is set up like this? And I was so happy, and thank God I worked in a mall for 6 years because I went straight to the food court to find that good old Wi-Fi. And when I got on that Wi-Fi, I called Verizon. I said like, hey, like, my data didn't transfer over. They were like, oh, we're so sorry about that. Like, now it should be working. I had faith. Verizon, I will never forget what you did to me. You basically I have nightmares still like about this situation. And I'm like, all right, we're all good to go. And I type in the location of Old Montreal because that was my first stop. And it's just like the most touristy area in Montreal. Yeah, in Montreal. So I was like, all right, that's the first place I'm going. Go find my fellow lonely tourist and try to link arms. No, I'm joking. But it was recommended to me by a couple of my friends, so I went there first. And I was still on Wi-Fi when I typed in the location, so I was like, oh, everything's gonna be all fine and dandy. And let me tell you, I made a phone call halfway through from the mall to Old Montreal. And after I'm telling my friend, hey, like, send help if you don't hear from me in 2 days, because that just means that I'm completely lost in Old Montreal and I need help. And I was making a joke. And as soon as I got off the phone with him, what do you call it? My GPS gave out. It just like, it took off Old Montreal from location. And I basically just kept going straight, and I found the sign that said Old Montreal, and I was so happy because I really thought I was gonna have to learn French and just find a job there and just like, be shoe shining for for a year or 2 years until I can continue to move up and learn French and find my way back to America and then write a book about it or something. I know that sounds terrible. That's a horrible joke. I'm so sorry. But basically, when I got to Old Montreal, the first thing I did was go ziplining. So that was super cool. I had to go ziplining. I went on a Ferris wheel. I got to see Old Montreal and just Montreal from like a vantage point, and it was beautiful. But the one part downfall of going alone was I was taking like selfies like this, like trying to find those good angles, trying to get the whole city behind me. Like, you try and do those. I even was smoking a jewel back then, so I was like trying to look cool, like smoking a jewel, and it looked terrible. Okay, I'll post a video sometime or the picture sometime, and matter of fact, maybe I'll add a picture into this video showing that sad time of me trying to jewel and be on a Ferris wheel. But other than that, I continued to go around and explore old Montreal. I actually got to find out something really cool about myself that at first I didn't really enjoy this, but it's something that I found out that now I do enjoy. And it was art. Art is such a beautiful thing, and it's just so awesome to see how people's minds are and to see what people can make out of certain objects or certain paintings. And my favorite one was a Mickey Mouse that had a butt on the face. Like that was to me the that was like the best picture I ever seen. Like the best. It wasn't even a picture; it was a statue. But the best piece of art I ever seen, and I loved it so much that I just continued to stop by museums along the way and really just embrace the art and look at it. And I never thought I liked art because I'm not an artist, so. But now it's something I do enjoy, and it's something that when I visit certain cities, I do want to go look at. I do want to look at other people's see how they do their art, and just be able to explore the different types of art out there. So that was one thing that I got to learn about myself on that trip. Another thing I got to learn is just like that I do enjoy traveling, that I do enjoy being able to visit a new city and just kind of walk around and get lost in that city, because at that time I just kept walking. I was by myself. I had my music in, and I was just enjoying the views, enjoying the time there, and it was beautiful. I even brought my book with me to a little bar, and this is the saddest part right here: when the bartender knows that you're alone, or the server came up to me and sat at my table because he knew I was alone, and he goes like, "What brings you out here?" And he knew there had to be a good story behind me being alone at a bar. So I'm telling him that I'm just from Vermont. I'm visiting and like kind of exploring the city by myself today. And he's like, "Oh, that's awesome. Like, here's a couple places to look." And that was the first time I got to talk to somebody besides the parking lady. And to me, it was the best thing because I love to talk. And it was just good conversation. It's the only conversation I had all day. So just being able to speak to him and find out good suggestions and places to eat and stuff like that really made it more exciting and made my time there more focused on certain things. Like I had a rooftop dinner that I got to enjoy where I had tacos, I had like poutine, I had like 3 beers, and it was just like lovely time. I had a great time there. But like I said, it was all alone, and it was in a time of hopelessness. So I was really just pouring my money into old Montreal, just hoping that I would get some feeling out of it, which I did, and I enjoyed it, and it was a life experience that I won't forget. But the whole thing is, as soon as I got back home from old Montreal, that it was, how do you say, I went right back to my hopelessness. I went back to that couch and I just sat there and I was just like, oh, well, what's next? What's my next adventure? Because that's the only thing I could think of at this time was what's going to get me off this couch. And I think the next thing I did was like go rafting in the river, which I did 2 days in a row. Another awesome experience, but that wasn't the point. The point is that I thought life was over. I thought this was it, and I had to do all these like spectacular things just in order for me to feel anything. Because during those 12 Netflix series, all I wanted to do was cry, or I felt like a nothing, or like a feeling of nothing. I don't know how do you emptiness almost. There we go. And it was just a terrible feeling, something I don't wish on anybody. And that's why I made this video, is just to tell you that there is hope out there. And even right now, in a time of hopelessness, or in a time of struggle, in a time where you just mentally can't handle what's going on, keep looking for the future, keep looking forward to a positive change happening in your life. Because I declare that something will happen in your life that's going to be positive and that's going to shoot you forward. And it's going to be your struggle that you went through that's going to make you prepared for that situation. And when you don't think anybody's there for you, God is there for you. So I truly encourage you, if you're feeling alone, open up your Bible, pray, just open yourself up to God and allow him to start working in you. Because without God, I wouldn't be here speaking about this time of change. I wouldn't be speaking